I will always remember the 21st night of September.
Boy.
And it went into the 22nd morning of September. You guys, I really...
Don't tell me.
You did not rehearse. We didn't rehearse this.
That is what is part of
Feel
my
it
music. We just throw it out there and see what sticks.
Remember
The 21st night
of September.
I will never forget the 21st night of September.
No.
Wow, that was a first for me in my career. What about you guys? Like the
never
delay?
had a near 5-hour delay.
Oh my gosh.
Never had it.
Yeah,
No,
we
no,
are going
first
to
time.
dive so far into that. We are going to talk about the actual game, of course. I have some, pretty interesting questions about the Malik Willis situation.
Okay.
Another W. I don't know if you saw the Packers.
Quarterback controversy.
Yeah.
No, the
No,
extra W on the back of his jersey for Willis. They put like two
Yeah, did you see
W's
that?
because he has two wins.
Nice.
So we'll talk a little bit about the former Flame there.
Yeah.
Moving forward, another big game for the
keep
Flames
coming.
this week on the road at App State. So we'll dive into that as well. But first, we got to talk about the weather delay with the Flames. Wow. Okay, so you get not even 90 seconds into this game.
you have basically 6 plays from scrimmage, right? 2, 3.
Shut her
and out.
down.
Shut it down. We had
Shut her
heard,
down.
we'd heard some, there might be a little whatever, weather or whatever. And then it's the same as it was week 1, where we know nothing, and all of a sudden we just see players start walking.
Yeah.
And we're like, what's going on? What's happening?
Well, to be fair, I would not say we didn't know nothing.
Yeah.
I think we had a crack meteorologist
Well, we started
sideline
finding
reporter,
out more.
Emily Austin, Cud, on the
Cantori,
Cantori,
Emily Austin Cud Cantori was on the
case,
scene.
live on the
Yes.
scene, giving us
Can I say this?
minute by
Oh
minute.
my
I
God.
take that back. Giving you
Yes.
Oh
minute
my
by
gosh,
minute
Joe
update.
is still
Joe is-
I'm a
in
little
his
bitter
feelings
about that.
about
that he wasn't on
because
the
I
text.
wasn't texting on the group. I was just
Yeah.
texting to
Yeah,
Matt.
yeah.
I
The whole
thought that
time.
you were on. I thought that you were in
The
the
whole
club
time.
area getting
It was
more
good because
brownies
then I
and
got to
lunch.
announce. I got to announce to everyone each time.
So Matt felt like he was in-
Hold on. Incoming more, and then I get to share whatever I heard.
I have a funny story about that.
I
after
do
you.
say you missed a golden opportunity, Emily. All you needed, you could have been gone viral. All you had to do was step out on the field right in the middle of the worst downpour and just do one of those with the microphone.
Yes.
On the scene, looks like we've got a heavy system moving in. And
get struck
post
by
that.
lightning and then tackled by the kid that ran across the
Listen,
field.
You should have tackled that.
I
where
care
were
about-
you?
Yeah,
Where were you when that kid was running across the
I was giving you
field?
weather updates.
That was, and we don't, and let me just be the first
We're
to
not
say,
condone.
we don't condone that behavior.
I have a photo
We
of him
don't.
sitting in the lobby of the LFC
Don't
handcuffed.
condone it. But I'll also
Or,
say,
whatever.
we've been sitting around for a couple hours. We're
We
all
need some
looking for something to
entertainment.
be entertained by. When we heard the crowd, like we're sitting back, we start hearing the crowd roar. We all jump to our feet. We start calling it like, to the 10, to the 5. And then, he took the hit at the,
going out.
Yeah. I don't know if it was worth
outside,
right.
outside the gate.
Probably
He took
not
the
worth
hit.
Rumor has
worth
it that
for
he
him.
broke his arm.
Wow.
I don't know if
Stop,
that's true.
really?
I
Okay.
don't know, but I
There
heard
was
that.
it was
Let me tell you something. If Joe Yock is that kid's lawyer,
Yeah.
right, and we're sitting in court, I mean, I got the defense.
Yeah.
And the defense is lightning was close, right on top of us, which it was, right? Which it was.
taking
I
notes.
felt, I felt as threatened for my life
Yeah,
that the lightning was close,
right.
and I thought
I
it
gotta
was
run
either
for it.
fight or flight.
Fight or flight.
And I chose to flight.
Right.
Right?
You're running
and
to
I took
safety.
off, and I was
Flight.
trying to
Running to
find the
safety.
nearest point of safety
Yeah.
and ran across the field.
Yeah.
I get tackled. I broke my arm. Sue
Oh my
you.
gosh, Joe
Sue
Young.
everybody.
Thankfully, for all of you at home.
Rhino, out of business.
Stop.
Shut him down.
Thankfully I have a Rhino story later. Actually, I'll just say when that guy got tackled on the sidelines. Oh my gosh, he was down for a minute, but hopefully he's okay. I think he is. Thankfully, I've been bad about this the last few weeks. Joe is not a lawyer, and if that guy is
Sue everybody.
that kid might be looking for a lawsuit. If you're looking for a home, I have the guy for you.
Joe, get it
It's
in.
Joe.
What
Yeah,
I
get
said.
it in early.
Yeah, no, thanks you for getting that in. Hey, rates are dropping.
Right.
Right? We're dropping. Everybody's talking about refinance. Well, guess what? If you want to refinance and save money and you're Liberty University alumni, employee, faculty, staff, the whole shebang, go to alcova.com/Liberty. Up to 1% of your closing costs off the table. save you a ton of money.
Yeah,
Go there.
do it.
Alcova.com/Liberty. You'll save money on your refinance.
Great stuff. Okay, so just to keep you guys in the, or well, I guess it's not in the loop because we already broadcast.
Screenshots.
So I'm like in the weather center, okay, and I'm
Yes.
trying to give everyone updates and all that. As you can see from Doug's gonna get a close up. The whole issue is there's a red circle right here.
Is that the 15-mile radius?
That's 8 mile radius.
8 miles,
So
sorry.
if there's so then you can see from this is what it turned into.
Yeah.
Gosh, I'm like not a weather person. But this system just kept building and building and building because it was just like a little
Initially,
dot.
everyone was like, "Oh, it's gonna blow through. 30 minutes will be,"
Right.
and obviously that didn't happen.
So then the system continued to like grow on top of Lynchburg,
Well,
and
the nimbus
then
clouds combined with
Right.
the cumulus clouds.
I'm
do
gonna
that.
finish
Hold on,
one
high,
at-
low
at
pressure
at
system.
one
You know the dew
point
point?
in this
Increasing of the
conference
dew
or
point.
podcast, I will finish one sentence. I promise.
Sorry.
So if there's lightning that strikes in the middle of this red 8 mile circle, that's when like the weather delay has to happen. Okay. So then a timer starts for all clear, 30 minutes. But then every time that another lightning strikes inside that red circle,
Start it
it
up again.
resets. We got down to like 19, 20 minutes, probably 8 times. And then boom, another lightning would strike. So this system eventually was moving at 7 miles an hour.
Ooh.
But mind you, we are going and I'm looking at the radar and then I see, what is this?
Yeah.
And the team that was like running the whole thing, they're like, oh no, that's going east. And I'm like, I think this is where I got my meteorology degree.
And I was like, "I think you're
And
wrong
I'm like,
on
I
that one."
think
Yeah.
that is actually coming directly to Lynchburg, which it did.
She nailed it.
However,
Nailed it.
No, I actually have no idea what I'm talking
Nailed
about.
it.
More than George Flickinger.
But anyways,
Yeah.
that
Take
huge,
that, George.
that huge
Put that
system.
in your pipe
Oh
and
yeah,
smoke
100%
it, George.
flames that, George.
Yeah.
That system, the good news was it was moving at like 43 miles an hour. So, but mind you, I see that big system. So I am going around to all the Rhino guys, texting Matt.
Yeah.
I'm telling all the players. I'm telling all the media team.
Not Joe,
Guys,
Yeah.
but not Joe.
I'm like, there's no way we're getting in this game because the whole issue was ECU's bus drivers, the game had to be started by 11 p.m. for them not to time out, and it was college for a weekend, so there was no hotels that were available. So I'm like telling everyone, there's no way we're getting this game in because that system is going to come over us, and if it hasn't passed that red circle by 10:30, we're not going to make the all clear 30-minute thing for it to start by 11.
Can I add to that? You're telling me that it was about that time, probably 10:30 or so, 10:25, that I walk out of our booth, go into the bathroom, and I pass Ian McCaw, Liberty Athletic Director. And Ian says to me, "Oh, we got to get going by 11." He's like, "But it looks like it's going to be all good. It's going to clear out." And I say, "You're wrong." Because Emily Austin just told me we're not playing. I was like,
no, that
you
was
don't
like
know what you're talking
that
about.
was like
So you
9:45.
do not know
That was 9:45.
what you're talking about.
That
So,
was 9:45.
Obviously, he was right.
That's right.
He was right. And
Oh my gosh,
they
all
found
this
a way.
hard work that I
No, you did a great
No.
job. Thank you for keeping
No,
us
you
updated.
did do a great
No,
job.
but
I was very impressed.
it was like 9:45 that I started texting you and I was like, we're going to get this game in because it's like going to be gone by like 10, which the guys can come out at 10:15 warm up. So but at the 9:30 mark, I was like mentally telling myself, okay, we're not doing this game, yada yada yada, and I had to really really hype myself back up. And Joe
Well, you
brought
went and
the
talked
energy.
to Mike Houston, and you said, what was the first thing he told you when you asked him? It was probably at like 9 o'clock when you talked to him.
9 o'clock, Mike Houston was like, I'm just worried about my guys eating because we haven't had our pregame meal. At that point, they hadn't eaten in 6.5 hours. So they, I guess, Olive Garden for the win came in, and then you just see all these guys like with catering.
But didn't he tell you, oh yeah, I've started games after midnight before.
Oh, yeah,
So like,
yeah.
like there was like,
At
if
Houston, yeah.
the whole bus driver thing kind of threw a wrench into it. But meanwhile, Joel and I were just hanging out in the booth.
Yeah,
You
a lot
guys
of
were
friends,
eating brownies.
a lot
I'm
of
sitting here
friends stopped
working.
by.
Yeah.
People came by and said hello. They brought pizza up at one
Yeah,
point.
yeah,
We got
pizza,
to watch some other games going on around the country.
Must be nice.
Watch
This sounds really
Mizzou
nice.
won.
Watch Mizzou win, so
watch
that was
Mizzou win.
exciting.
Diego Pavia almost did it to him
Diego
again.
Pavia was as thrilling as ever
Yeah,
for
yeah.
Vandy. But all that to say,
What-
glad we got the game in.
Gosh, what a roller coaster.
And what an absolute roller coaster. And we were worried coming out, like, okay, how long does it take guys to kind of get back into the swing of things? Like,
well, yeah, Liberty guys are sitting there, having a dance party. Some are playing ping pong.
Right.
Some are playing chess. Like,
and then it starts, and it looked like, well, ECU seems ready.
Yeah.
It goes quick run, shot play down the field, bang, bang, bang,
Touchdown.
and they're driving down the field, penalty, touchdown, and then you're like, whoa, what just happened here? And next thing you know, it's 17-0.
But then the Flames take the wind out of the Pirates' sail, and it went up.
She loves her pirate voice.
Hey, I will
She's
say.
really high on her pirate voice.
Hey, I actually went over before the game and told my joke to probably like 7 or 8 coaches and ECU players, and they were just looking at me like
we look
who
at you.
is this girl? And I'm like, oh, I'm the sideline reporter. And they're like, okay. But I will say this is the most trolling I've seen from Liberty Football's account about this win. I thought the Pirates' favorite letter was R, it's C, but now it's L, you know, and there is like some funny trolling on that.
I think they felt this was like this was an important win. A big win, especially the way it's gone and the way the game was going. Like, I don't know. I looked at you, Joe. This was during the commercial break when it was 17-0.
Yeah.
And I think we had maybe just turned it over, given it back, and they're driving again. And I look at Joe, I'm like, I mean, if this is a 35-3 game in the second half, like,
I remember hearing that.
Like, I don't know if what are we gonna do? Like, that's not the kind of game I'm looking to call at 1 a.m. You know what I mean?
It was
looking rough.
Teetering of going really sideways, and there was no question whatsoever that when Salter threw the interception down to maybe like the 18, I think it was, something like that. It was inside the 20, I believe. I may be wrong about that, but it was in close to the red zone. And it's 17-0. Every bit of momentum's in their favor. They go in and punch that in and make it 24-0.
Or even make the field goal. They missed the 25-yard field goal.
And when that happened, it all changed.
Ensuing drive.
It all
comes
changed.
Down,
and
touchdown.
that's what.
And then it's game on.
That's what winners do, though.
Yeah.
That's what Jamie told me after the game is that when they missed that field goal, that's when the momentum shifted. I asked him his like best defensive moment, and he was like, when we got that stop and then they missed it.
Listen,
are we going to that at one point, by the way?
Yeah, I think we should.
Okay, all right. So
we'll toss to Emily's interview with Jamie here at some point.
We'll do that in just a little bit. We got him after. And I think you wanted to kill me because I just kept asking questions because I'm thinking.
It was like,
you know what's funny
it was a lot.
It was a long interview, but guys,
you know what's funny about that interview?
Todd Wetmore is probably going to kill me because I'll do better about that.
I could feel Todd.
He was like, Emily, there's another media but I just wanted to get a bunch of good content, exclusive content for the podcast. I'm sorry, Todd.
Do you know what was funny about that? It's like right before you started, we could hear you talking to him, and you're like, Coach, I know it's late. We're going to make this short and sweet.
You did say
and then I went on for like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys.
That's all right.
Gosh.
It was crack sideline.
The fans will enjoy it.
And then Joe goes, during the post game, do we have to listen to that entire thing again? I'm like, I text Matt, tell Joe I can hear him.
Listen, though, I just want to say about this team, we hear all this stuff about strike the stone, Flames quarter, and on the outside, it's like, oh, that's kind of cheesy, right? That's the kind of reaction you get. What is this stuff?
Every team has their
Every team, whatever.
Yeah.
But then you hear the players talk, and you hear in press conferences that come out of their mouth like unprompted. Not like Coach always says strike the stone. It's like it's their belief.
Strike the stone.
It's like it's part of what they live by. Mm-hmm. And you hear them talk that way. That is taken hold. And there's something to that belief, that buy-in, whatever. This team really thinks we just keep striking. We've got a chance. We get to the fourth quarter, that's when we win. They believe that. And you're seeing now like that happened throughout the year. Liberty this season in the fourth quarter, they've outscored teams 56-14.
Wow.
Like they've dominated in the fourth quarter. And resilience and those things, like what did you always hear growing up? I'm sure the Silver Fox told you from time to time. Whatever. You go through something hard, it builds character, right? Builds resilience. Like you have to build that. And the Flames have done that this year. Like the weather delay in the first game. You know what? Probably benefited them in some way on Saturday night, having gone through a weather delay already once this year, right? You fourth quarter comeback, already done that this year. You had to do that at New Mexico State. You also had to play till 2 a.m. at New Mexico State. So check those off.
Right.
You end up doing both those things again on Saturday night. Cooley goes down with an injury against UTEP. You find a way to battle through it. So they're battle tested, Now, sometimes they put themselves in
they shoot themselves in
right.
the foot.
They dig themselves a hole, so they
Yeah.
have to dig themselves out of it. But they've been battle tested. They're proving their resilience. And in the end, like you say too, winners know how to win. It's because they've gone through this now before, and they never feel like they're out of it. They always feel like they can come back. And truth be told, they have the talent to do that. We saw it. We saw Caden Salter, 4 touchdown passes. They have the guys to do that. It hasn't looked like it looked last year, but they have the people to get it done. And most importantly, they believe they will.
I mean, just imagine if they weren't shooting themselves in the foot with these like penalties and
that's
stuff.
the next step.
Thinking about how they could be taking care of these teams and maybe even like blowing out some of these good teams
That's
if
the
they
next step, if you
did take
clean
care and
that
had
up.
that discipline. Yeah. Do you have a thought, or did you use all of your energy in that open?
Can I tell a quick story? I was worried Joe wasn't going to get home safely. We walk out of the booth. It's 3 or 2:30 or whatever.
Loopy.
We walk.
Why were you loopy?
I got a little loopy.
We walk into the elevator. We're on the 5th floor. You want to go to G for ground, right?
Thanks.
Joe is Joe is just like pawing it. He couldn't find the button.
I was so loopy.
He's
I
like
couldn't
just
find
like
the button.
I gave him like 4
I was hitting the G
attempts.
star, like the little
He was
black
hitting the
thing
little
that
braille
tells you-
thing.
the braille.
He was
I had
like,
my eyes closed. I was
he
hitting
didn't
the
know
braille
what.
thing.
It
Is
was
that
bad.
a G or is that a 2?
It was
or is
bad.
that like
I thought I might just need to give him a ride home.
Started laughing
It
at
was
me.
rough. I was worried.
I was wondering why you text Joe. Let me know when you make it home safe. I'm like, what about me?
I knew you'd know.
Yeah, I was actually already home. I did my 10.
I wonder why there was no sideline hits in the 4th quarter.
I did my 20-minute interview with Chadwell after the game, and I'm like, see ya. No. Why? Did you like overdo it on the cookies and brownies?
Yeah,
and
that's fair.
We emptied the tank.
We
you know,
emptied the tank.
the spike of all the sugar, and then you fall.
We did have a little sugar crash.
We hit it from everything. It was unbelievable. But back to the football game. Here's what I think. Is that the defense?
Wait, can I ask my question? Does that
yeah.
set you up?
I was waiting for that.
Okay.
That's why I paused.
Okay.
You didn't just like go. That's all.
Well,
okay, go.
What changed after that first quarter? Because what was it 17? Well, really, first quarter into the early second. What changed for the Flames defense? I know the offense didn't put them in the greatest positions, but what was different about that initial first?
I don't think
quarter
a lot. They didn't change a lot.
Okay.
I think what happened was you look at, you always go back to, you look at, so what actually happened, right? They drive the ball down, made some plays. ECU made some plays, which is going to happen. They had the throw behind on the deep ball, which caught, the guy made a good play. They get down the red zone. Joe Carter, we got things stopped. You get the stop, and Joe Carter puts the body slam on that guy. So that gives him a first down. It's sort of like in basketball, like missed threes. Like you get enough offensive rebounds off missed threes, sooner or later the guy's going to make the three, right? And if you give a good team enough red zone chances, right, and a fresh set of downs, like they're going to score. And so
or give him the ball in the one.
and then TJ Bush had the guy dead for rights, and he made a great play. Jake Garcia makes a great play, gets out of it, scores a touchdown. So that's one. You had them stop, take the penalty, right? They score. Next one is we fumbled on the 1 yard line. Yeah. Salter fumbles on the one. So that's you're not going to stop a team 4 times from the 1 yard line on a sudden change, right? So it's like gave up 1 yard there. I think though, obviously when it all changes, you think about that. Like it was going sideways, man. And then Salter throws the interception. And the thing that I like, and you said it, the thing that I like about the defense is their resiliency. It wasn't like, oh my goodness, we're in so much trouble. We need to change this up. We're getting desperate. We need to take chances. We need to do all the different things, and then you get burned, right? No, they're like, no, we just need to stay the course. And they stayed the course. And once they got that missed field goal, then I think that was more of a jolt to the offense.
Right.
Where the offense said, okay, hey, listen, you guys we're putting you in bad spots with the ball on the 1 yard line. You guys get this stop. We're down 17-0, and we need to be the winners that we are and start doing some winning things. And I think from both sides, players and their execution, but also Willie Korn offensively started calling a game that was it gave Liberty a chance to move the football, right? This wasn't a hey, we're going to be tougher than you, smash mouth back and forth and see who can last kind of game. This was like ECU was coming downhill at them, right? And he quickly realized we need to attack the edges of the outside in the passing game. So they were running speed outs. They were running.
Think about how many first down passes they threw. There's that quick out that you get 5 or 6, and then you're set
up. So they
Mm-hmm.
did what was right, and that was finesse it, and they had a lot of success doing that. And then they realized, I mean, there was 3 corner routes against cover 2 that were caught for touchdowns. Elijah Canyon caught one. And then Reese Smith caught 2.
I don't know how we waited this long to bring up Reese Smith.
Yeah, so he catches 2. So you have 3 corner routes, and then they do a great job. They go into man on the last one that Reese Smith catches, and they're in man free, and the guy covering DB covering Reese Smith jumps to the outside, and they run a skinny post on him for a touchdown. So that's the change up that comes after. And here's what I like the most, and Billy Durkin actually texted went on X about this, was, okay, now that we've finessed you, had success, now it's time. They did this against New Mexico State, and now they've done it last week against ECU. And that was when you want to go for the knockout punch, where do you go? You go where they say you can't go, and that's right up the gut. And I think that right there, when Cooley hit it up the gut for the touchdown, right? That was a cultural statement, right? I think it was like, we can play call you to beat you, right? But ultimately, our culture says that we are also tough, and we're also going to finish you off by
in an area that you take pride in.
We're going to finish you off by hitting you square in the chin, and that's a part of it that I really, really like. They did to New Mexico State, and then they turn around and do it to ECU. And so that to me was like, we're not just making a statement. We're making a statement from a cultural standpoint of who we are.
So happy for Reese Smith. This is a guy who, he even was openly, telling me about it, just how difficult it is to come back from an injury and kind of get hit again for the first time. He transferred to Liberty from West Virginia, and then blows out, or I think he tore his ACL. I should know this.
And keep in mind, he dominated the spring game.
Right.
The spring game prior to the last season, he looked like he might be the best receiver on this team.
Right.
And then over the summer, tore ACL, MCL. And
then you have to sit out an entire year. Then you're ready to come back. He kind of goes through another injury. So this past summer. So just really cool to see him. Oh my gosh, like on the sidelines, I think everyone on the entire team came over to him to congratulate him. It was just such a cool moment to see all the guys like so happy for him, because they know how bad or how difficult it is to get over that mental hump.
One of the best things you can see in building a team for this year, because this year this team is so much different than it was last year, right?
So different.
I think defensively they're just better all the way around, and they have much more in from a scheme standpoint, and they have the players to do it. But offensively, there was a lot of question marks this year's team. And so what you're seeing right now is you're seeing this team offensively mature into who they are and what they want to be. And when you have guys like, I think a big issue to begin the season, well, not an issue, but what needed to be figured out was, who does Caden Salter really trust?
Yeah, build
right.
that
and
chemistry.
So build the chemistry with it. And it was clear that it was Trayon Sibley, right? And so now he is begun to realize that it's the spreading of the wealth around that he can trust a lot of individuals. Touchdown to Elijah Canyon, right? Dante Lee had a fantastic game, and you see what his ability is with the ball after it gets in his hands. Okay, Tyson Mobley is a fantastic football player, and then when Reese Smith comes in, scores 3 touchdowns, then we're not even talking about Henshaw and Jenkins, and there's so many different
tools in his toolbox.
And now when you start, it's one thing to talk about it and say it, right? But then when it actually happens in a game and you use it, now you step into practice and you start going, okay, I have full confidence in delivering the ball here, 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 here. And that's when you'll see, now you start to strike not only strike the stone, you're striking your identity. And when you strike your identity, that's when you're going to see the potential of a team that's only going to get better as the weeks go along.
And this is kind of a broken record. I've said it a couple of times, but that's also on Willie Korn and the coaching staff, learning this personnel and putting them on the field and in the right situations and those certain plays that give, and then obviously it takes Salter to execute them. But I just think you're only going to see, like you said, this offense continue to improve and continue to grow because we're only 4 weeks in,
And keep in mind, too, and Chadwell said this after the game, Trayon Sibley was banged up.
Yeah.
He was not 100%. We only saw, I think it was 2 catches from him on the night. So, 2 for 16, well below what we've seen from him in the previous 3 weeks. And so if I had gone into the game and said, he's going to catch 2 balls for 16 yards, based on what we had seen the previous 3 weeks, we'd probably be like, ooh, boy. That's going to be tough.
Yeah.
So in some ways, it forced the trust.
Yeah.
Right? And so you can benefit from this. You don't ever want to have to lose or not have your best receiver, at full health. But this could benefit them a lot faster and in more ways than it would have if he were 100% and he caught 8 balls. You know what I mean? Like it's forced them to build that trust with him not being as involved in the offense.
I think we can all agree that Reese Smith was the offensive MVP of this game. Who's your MVP on defense?
Joe Carter had a good game. Joe Carter is just solid.
Yeah.
Like you just know,
like in physique as well.
Well,
like,
yeah,
you
but
just see him and he's just like solid.
Like he has come so far in the year and a half or whatever it's been since he started to kind of probably not even that because he really early in the year last year wasn't as involved. But he's come so far. He was really solid. I will say, Hope Brylan Green is all right.
Yeah.
That was just a little bit scary. I did see him.
He's fine.
So that was a little scary to see him, and obviously he's such a huge part of the back end of that defense.
Quentin Reese is my MVP.
Quentin Reese.
Yeah, we tried to get him on the show this morning, but he's they have practice this morning.
Yeah.
If you missed the sit down I had with Joe Carter on the Flame Central game day, go to Liberty Flames YouTube. You can catch that. We're also going to do a little bit more of an in-depth feature on him. Met his family this week. Great family. But he started as a walk-on, now a team captain, and making such an impact on this Flames defense. So that'll be coming your way here in the next couple weeks. Anything else on this game before we go to Coach?
Joe and I, speaking of Flame Central Game Day, we do a hit on that show whenever we're calling the games. And our focus this week was on third down and how important third down was going to be in this ball game.
Yes.
Both these defenses, top 15 in the nation, third down defenses. People just aren't converting third downs on these defenses. And what does Liberty do against ECU? They convert on 13 of 17. Add in converting on a fourth down, so 14 of 18. Not only that, Liberty scored touchdowns on all four red zone trips, but Caden Salter's 4 TD passes, all of them on third down. And that was it. Like you're able to convert on third down. You're able to keep that defense on the field. We talk about, time of possession being a thing against teams sometimes. Liberty, their offense had the ball 13 and a half more minutes. You think, again, you get them to the fourth quarter. That's the old, what was it, New Mexico State's coach said about Liberty? We want to drag them into the deep water and wear them out and drown them. That's kind of what Liberty does, right? They get you in that fourth quarter, especially when the time of possession is as one-sided as that, and then that's when they hit you in the mouth.
Quick point on that, because going into the game, Coach Houston was telling his staff, like, hey, I don't care if you don't trust or believe in some guys yet on the defensive side. We got to be rotating guys throughout the game because I need fresh guys on the field in the fourth quarter. There was a moment in the fourth quarter, they were taking a while for like one of the ECU linemen to get off the field, and Jamie was like getting the ref like attention, come on, we're trying to go, and he's taking forever to get off the field. Like, obviously, he was doing it on purpose, but you just saw like those ECU guys starting to get tired in the fourth quarter, and the Flames took advantage of it.
And it always goes back, what do we always say about like super up-tempo teams? It's great when you're putting points on the board.
Right. And
when you're not,
you gotta run a lot of plays.
Really sticking it to your defense.
On the field.
You got to run a lot of
plays. If you
plays.
don't have enough depth there, that shows up.
There's analytics that talk about when you get to over 86 plays, roughly, that you win 80+% of your games.
Wow.
And so you gotta run a lot of plays to where the one point that I want to make up before we move on was that the aspect of Caden Salter's ability to read the progressions of defenses and make the throws that he's supposed to make. The one that comes to mind, and this is hard to do, it takes a lot of maturity in a quarterback in the heat of the fire, to make the throw. When they went into the tight trips formation, I can't remember if it was the score, might have been the score to take the lead, but they were in the tight trips formation, and they ran a flat corner concept, and it was 3rd and 6. It was 3rd and 6, and in your mind you're thinking, man, we got to convert this.
Yeah.
The number one thought you have is like, man, we just got to get the first down. You got to get the first down. Move the chains, right? And they ran a cover 2, ECU did, meaning that they were playing the corner up tight and then had a safety over top of him, right? And Liberty ran a guy out in the flat. I think it was Sibley. They ran him out in the flat, right? And that's the throw. You think it's 6 yards just to move the chains, right? And then they had Reese Smith on the corner route in between the safety and the corner behind him. Yeah. And that corner, like when you as a quarterback and you're thinking move the chains, you think I'm going to grab the ball and I'm going to throw it in the flat right now, hopefully move the chains. Well, Salter read that corner. That corner didn't really back up. He moved, sort of stayed still to move up to that flat route, and he was willing. He saw that.
Will Levis.
And he was willing. He was willing to throw the corner route and allow Reese Smith to go up and make a play for a touchdown, not just to move the chains. And I tell you what, that takes guts at a quarterback position, and then it takes also trust because Reese Smith had to go up.
And I'll say this last thing for me on this game. You felt like in this game, Caden Salter got a little bit of his swagger back, didn't it?
Yeah.
Like not just the talking, but backed it up. Running the football, scrambling that last 4th down where that was not an easy run. It was going to be close. He gave it the second effort, lowered the shoulder, powered his way for the first down. It started to feel like, okay, this is looking more like the guy we saw last year just in terms of the confidence. And you talk about the willingness to make tough throws, but also when it's breaking down, all right, let's just go get it with my legs.
And I think the switch that may have gone off in his head, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but when he threw the interception, that was on a scramble.
Yeah, and it looked like he had a lot of room to run.
That he had some room to run, right? And in the past,
on the move.
And I think finally he's like, why am I doing this, right? If let's use the assets that I have. Yeah. And after that interception, he was much more like, okay, if it's not there, I'm gonna wiggle and make some yards using my legs.
You know, Salter wanted to go for it on that late 4th and 2, which is what I asked head coach Jamie Chadwell about after the game. Well, Coach Chadwell, I feel like I just was put on an emotional roller coaster. There's a lot to cover, but it's like 2 a.m., so we'll keep it brief. Talk about strike the stone. I'm sure this victory felt good for you and your team. What can you say about their fight, their effort, not giving up, and coming back for this victory?
Well, you know, that's one thing that we pride ourselves on is, hey, we're going to play 4 quarters, and we've been challenging them for the past 3 weeks to start fast, and we can't do it for whatever reason. But they don't doubt. They don't stop believing, just like the song says, and the Flames quarter, and they keep fighting, keep pushing. And, you know, we're not perfect. We're not maybe a great team by any means, but they never think they're out of it. And they play hard for each other, and they care for each other. And that, to me, that's what I love about them. They do that. I mean, there's not been this excitement at 2 a.m. in Lynchburg on this campus in a long, long time.
Yeah, I heard that curfew was extended 30 minutes after kick, so or after the close of the game. The 4th and 2, what were those conversations like? Was Caden trying to plead his case there? Did you know you were going for it?
I was going for it, and then I started thinking, well, hey, defense has done pretty well. Let's punt it down there, but there's no guarantee you get them backed up. And one of our coaches said, hey, win the game right now. So we went with it. Caden made a heck of a play. And then we were able to obviously score the touchdown to put it away.
This team, the ECU, is known for their run defense, scoring that last touchdown, Cooley, up their gut. How did that feel?
That was huge. I said, I don't know what we ended up with, but I said we needed to run for at least 150 because then at least I felt like maybe we could control the line of scrimmage a little bit and some of those things. And but that second half, I don't know if we got stopped. My memory's not great at 2 a.m.
Mine either.
But, we figured it out there in the second quarter, that last drive, and really finished strong. And so, I bet we finished with 170-something yards, which they don't give up a lot.
Cooley had over 100.
So that helped us control. I think we wore them down in the second half, which is something that, I don't know if they thought we could do, but we did.
How happy are you for Reese Smith? You talked about his confidence mentally coming back from that injury. I think he has it back here tonight, huh?
Did, then I'm going to ask him, hey, you've caught all those passes, you couldn't catch the other one? But what hurting his knee, and then re-hurting it again. And anytime you do that, there's this doubt in your mind, you know, and hey, can I do this again? And for him to make those plays when we needed to, I mean, we needed some positive plays, and he made on third down big plays. I think all his touchdowns were on third down, if I'm not mistaken. And just he's a unbelievable young man, strong in his faith, and I'm glad that he persevered. And isn't that what the Christian life's about?
I have 2 more quick ones. I know you want to get in that locker room and celebrate this defense. What moments stick out to you from tonight?
You know what? I think the whole key of the game was we throw a pick down here. It's 17-0. They score. It's 24-0, and then we might fall apart. They got the ball, I think, at the 10 or whatever. We hold them to field goal, and they miss it. Completely changed the whole game. And our defense from that first quarter, you know, second, whatever it was, after that, I mean, they really played well. Obviously, we gave up the one drive there in the fourth, but, I mean, they kept us in it when we couldn't, you know, do anything on offense. But that was the whole key. And, you know, we've talked a lot about how we think they can be, and they're doing well. And they've kept us in games. And where last year, offense kept us in games. They're doing it this year, and that's, you know, that's a sign of a team.
What kind of what can this kind of victory do for this team's confidence?
Well, I mean, it's big because, you know, we're perceived our conference isn't as good as theirs and this or that, and to be able to do that, take a win versus another conference team is a big thing. You know, and I think our guys don't lack for confidence. So we know we got another big one next week, you know, and so but I do think it just continues to instill that belief, that mindset, hey, we're never out of it. Let's just keep believing, keep fighting. And we're able to prove it again. I think we've done that, you know, 2 or 3 times now.
Thanks for your time, Coach. Sorry that ran a little longer than I thought. It's probably 2:30 by now. Go celebrate with your team. Congratulations.
Thank you. Flames.
I promised it would be a short interview. I completely lied. First things first, what do you guys think that this win is going to do or has done for the Flames moving forward?
I think it's big because you can say like the New Mexico State win was important, but at the end of the day, and we've seen what New Mexico State has been before and after that game, that's a team Liberty feels like they should dominate. And you felt like, ooh, we kind of got away with a clunker of a performance and kind of pulled it out. This feels different because you feel like you look at the athletes on the field, you look at that defensive line, you feel like ECU is a good team. So this feels different in that way. It wasn't, oof, boy, we got away with one there. We were lucky to, you know, steal one at the end. Yeah. This was, we went toe-to-toe with what I think will be a really good team. What I think will probably be a team that ends up becoming bowl eligible at some point this year. And you won. So it feels different in that way. So I think it's a different level of confidence you take out of beating a team like that as opposed to stealing one when you really weren't playing that good at New Mexico State.
Can you guys imagine if we sat for 4.5 hours in a weather delay and the Flames didn't come away with this win?
ECU.
I mean,
right.
ECU is
bus ride. Like
they're
talking
pulling
about
into Greenville when
right
the sun's coming
Right
out.
now they are pulling in. Right now they're pulling in. Yeah, they're talking about
that
a long
would
bus ride.
Not be fun. Not be fun. 2 straight weeks that you just, you know,
they're up 16-0
lose,
to App State, up 17-0 to Liberty, and you give them both away.
Gosh,
I think 2 things. One, from a defensive standpoint, you're stamping your identity, right? Like you knew, I think you knew who you were. Like they had a plan from the beginning of camp, right? And they become more complex scheme-wise and have more depth of players, and they've followed that plan, and they've continued to get better and better. So that plan hasn't changed, right? From a defense standpoint. From an offensive standpoint, I think there were a lot of question marks, and they weren't sure. They wanted to be, you know, when you lead the nation in rushing last year, it's like, okay, our identity is a rushing team. And it's like, okay, well, maybe that's got to change just a little bit. Obviously not getting away from the run. They're still going to run the football, but maybe we need to do some different things. Well, what is that? And I think that last game really brought forth the establishment from the receiver position, quarterback position, O-line to like, okay, this is who we can be moving forward. And it's going to be more of a passing finesse team, yet still running the football, knowing who our players are, knowing who our playmakers are. And I think you're only going to see this offense grow. The hardest part to me, and you'll see this over and over in college football, is the hardest part, and this is why I think this next game is so critical. The hardest part for young players in college football who aren't professionals is understanding, okay, you win that game, which is a very emotional game, a very late game, a very different game. Coming back and putting together the solid practice to be able to go on the road and get up emotionally and physically to be able to play the next game. How many times do you see big wins from teams
week in and week out
followed up in college football by bad losses?
Northern
Illinois.
Northern Illinois is a
Yeah.
perfect example of it. And so I think like that's why I think one of the strengths of, you look at the teams that have figured it out. You look at the teams in the SEC, right? Like it's either if you don't show up week in and week out, you're going to get eaten.
Yeah.
Right. So it forces them to learn, like, dude, we're playing Tennessee this week. We got to play Alabama next week. And then the following week we play Ole Miss. Right. So it's like, hey, dude, you either figure it out how to play week in and week out like a professional, or you're going to get left behind. And so that's what I think that this next game is such a huge game.
Last thing for me, last thing on this game.
Thing.
Looking at the PFF grades from that game. Liberty on the defensive side, what was a concern a little bit? Defensive backs, like, what are we, it's a little shaky. Maybe some guys haven't proven anything. Dexter Ricks Jr., the second highest, no, I take it back, the highest graded player on the defensive side in that ball game for Liberty in 52 snaps. Also, Christian Bodner. Feels like Liberty's found something with Christian Bodner. He had the highest grade. He was the highest grade in pass coverage for the Flames in that game. And then lastly, on the offensive side, you got John Paul Flores back on the offensive line. Remember, he was projected starter, got hurt like 3 days before the opener. You get him back. They're like, we're going to ease him in a little bit. He played 54 snaps and had the best pass block grade of any offensive lineman. John Paul Flores, 7th-year player, on his 4th school, really good kid. And getting him back on that if line, a veteran presence like that, it'll be interesting to see if they move Jordan White back to center where he had been, or or how they end up finagling that. But that's a big piece on this offensive line that, again, they felt like hadn't played up to the standard so far. Getting him back could certainly help them take it to another level.
We're not going to do a game again until November, so I want to get this in. I actually talked to JP before the game, and he was just like talking about how the training staff is who helped him get ready early, recovering from that injury. But he was spending like 2 to 4 hours a day rehabbing. But I was like, you've been playing college ball for you're like the grandpa, so you think you're going to be good? He goes, Emily, this is kind of like riding a bike. Like so I had a feeling that he was going to have a good game. But we will talk about App State, get to the mailbag, and do our score predictions in just a second. Let's just cover a little bit on Malik Willis. Second win.
What you talking about, Willis?
What you talking about, Willis?
Was that?
So I have the funniest tweet coming from Clay Travis last night. Let me just read this to you guys real quick.
I'll run through his numbers real fast. 13 of 19, 202 yards and a touchdown. 6 rushes, 73 yards, and another touchdown.
He had one rush for 29 yards, which was huge. Clay Travis tweets this. I'm sure there are worse situations for an NFL franchise, but trading your third-string quarterback and having him return a few weeks later to smoke your team in its home stadium and drop you to 0-3 on the season ranks pretty high up there. Go Titans.
Yeah, tough look for the Titans.
That is a really tough look for the Titans. I know. Would Malik Willis ever say anything like that? Absolutely not. He has just been a class act. The same guy that we've seen here at Liberty. I can't tell you how happy I am for this guy.
Malik Willis made me make a decision yesterday because because the ball game's on, right? And it's not a local thing. Well, my father-in-law who we go down and have dinner with every afternoon. So by 4 o'clock, 4:30, I'm down there watching all the ball games, and he's got an NFL Sunday ticket, right? I'm like, well, why am I going to get an NFL Sunday ticket? He's got an NFL Sunday ticket, right? And then I pull up my TV, and it's like, whew, I'd really like to watch that Green Bay game. Well, the only way I can watch it is NFL Sunday ticket.
Right.
So the next thing you know, I'm making 4 easy payments.
Oh my God.
I'm making 4 easy payments.
Yeah. Easy
I'm like, I see that Green Bay game on, and I'm like, I gotta watch this game.
That is hilarious,
and like, so how do you watch the game?
Willis,
and I was like,
Joe.
And it says, buy on NFL Sunday.
They're easy payments.
It's 4 easy payments.
4 easy.
Right? And so like, all right, I can make 4 easy payments.
Yeah, right.
And so I watched, so I got to watch the ball game.
Yeah, that's
I'm very thankful.
You know what, though?
That
and you
is
talk
so
about
funny.
being so happy for him, and obviously such a humble kid and stuff. it also goes back to what we say every year at draft time. The situation matters so
absolutely.
much.
And the franchise matters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, the organization matters so much. And for everyone, not just a Malik.
Yeah.
Like, Tom Brady doesn't end up with the Patriots. He doesn't have the 7 Super Bowl rings. Patrick Mahomes gets drafted by the Bears.
Right.
He doesn't have 3 Super Bowl rings. Like, even for the great ones. But, like, for Malik, you go to a place like Tennessee that was kind of dysfunctional. I mean, they fired their GM not long after. Then they let their coach go this past year. Like, going to a situation like Green Bay, it's just so cool for him to see him in a stable place, in an organization that knows what they're doing, and seeing him flourish and seeing them use him in a way that accentuates his strengths.
Yeah.
And you even saw from week 1 to week 2 for him, okay, now we're giving you a little bit more. We're giving you a little bit more. And that is so exciting. And bottom line, no matter when Jordan Love comes back, if it's this next week or whatever, I told my wife this last night, I'm like, Malik Willis has just gotten himself 6 more years in the NFL.
Yeah, and I'll ask you guys about that in just a moment. But another point that this makes in the NFL is coaching matters.
Oh,
like, you look at Levis and with the Titans, you look at Bryce Young with the Panthers, you look at Sam Darnold when he was with the Jets and now he's in Minnesota. Like, coaching matters in this league, and being in a stable franchise, like you said, matters, because when you look at all these Caleb Williams, you know, like, they're just throwing these rookies out there, and they obviously have, Tom Brady's talked about this a million times, like, developing the quarterback in the college level is done, and it's now done at the NFL level, because, you know, the pressure that these franchises feel about playing their rookie quarterbacks when they're not ready. Like, look at some of the guys who were drafted last year that are behind a decent, you know, veteran quarterbacks, but they're just not thrown out there.
That they're not ready. Maybe your franchise isn't ready to have a guy like that out there.
Right.
Maybe you don't have the offensive line in Chicago to protect your star rookie quarterback.
I mean, that's why
Malik's in such a better spot.
I think Sam Darnold is the greatest example of that, right? Sam Darnold's been trashed by everybody. Sam Darnold stinks,
Fields,
right? And so he goes to where? He goes to the Jets, right? And they were awful. And then he goes to the Carolina Panthers, who are even more than awful, right? And so now you're like, oh, Sam Darnold. Well, now all of a sudden you send him to the Vikings, and he's got Justin Jefferson. He's got, you know, a bunch of good offensive head coach. He's got a good, and then they're lighting it up.
I wonder if, like, Trevor Lawrence is going to be in that conversation.
Well, they signed him to a huge deal
too, but I guess that's true. Okay, my question that they were talking about on Unsportsmanlike ESPN radio show earlier this morning, and I think it was originally brought up on the postgame show after the Green Bay game. Could you see the Packers try to flip Malik while his draft is high, right? Or his stock is high. So then, like, you know, they threw out the Dolphins. No. I don't know. Do you just use him as a security blanket moving forward? Which I think they'll.
No, you don't. You wouldn't trade him because a good backup quarterback and a backup quarterback that accepts his role is one of the more, like, sneaky valuable things you can ask for. They're not paying him a ton, and you want that kind of humility, that kind of teammate backing up your star. That's what you want. You're only
as good as your backup quarterback. Isn't that what they always say? But I agree. I think that Malik is in a great spot, and he is so humble that he's not going to sit there and be begging for playing time if what's his name comes back. Jordan Love. Gosh. Anything else from you, Joey? Okay. Let's move on to some App State Mountaineer talk. Flames obviously on the road this week. I heard this is a sellout game.
Yeah, they've sold it out
3:30 kick, I believe. So should be a fun environment for the Flames, a good test for the Flames. What do we know about the Mountaineers?
Well, first off, I'm looking right now as we sit here. Liberty's a 3.5-point favorite according to ESPN. So that
3.5.
That's a little interesting.
Put it in. Consider that for your scoring prediction.
Okay. But listen,
I'm going to learn how to do math.
App State is there's some. It's a little unsettled in that fan base right now. Let's say that. They got just hammered by South Alabama 48-14 on Thursday. So they do have a few extra days to prep for the Flames. They'll have a little extra rest. They're 2-2 on the year. They got drilled by Clemson earlier in the season as well. Squeaked one out over ECU last week. But one thing about them, they don't run the ball particularly well. 100th in the nation rush yards per game. They do have a pretty talented quarterback, Joey Aguilar. He's actually the guy that replaced Ryan Berger, Flames quarterback, when Berger hurt his finger at the beginning of the season last year. Went on to be the Sun Belt Offensive Player of the Year. Was 307 pass yards per game. Threw for 424 against ECU. So he can sling it around. Completion percentage hasn't been where you wanted it to be, but that's kind of, I feel like, the key for this Liberty defense. Can you slow down the pass attack? And that's why Brylan Green's availability will be something to monitor.
What is the
this
ruling
week.
with if a concussion protocol
It's just,
in NCAA?
you just got to pass whatever concussion
Okay,
test
so he
you have,
could technically play
Yeah,
Saturday.
and thankfully, too, health is the most important thing. But thankfully, too, they rescinded the targeting call because had he been healthy, he still would have had to sit out the first half against App State. So now it's just a health thing, and hopefully he's good to go. But listen, anytime you go into Boone, great environment. We'll see what the fan base is feeling like. I mean, I think they're not real thrilled. If you just go on social media after that South Alabama game, like they want to burn the place down.
Yeah.
So it's.
I mean, ECU's kind of the same thing when I was looking at their social media.
I think with those extra days too, I think you're going to get a good version of App State.
Oh, absolutely.
This is not the program that they have been and that they expect to be what we saw against South Alabama.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see them turn it around and give a good performance on Saturday.
You might want to watch the game on mute because we won't be on the call. No, I'm just joking.
Wow, okay.
I'm kidding.
I'll just give you
I'm
just give you Joe's number and you can just call him up and you can just speakerphone it. Yeah.
Maybe he'll have more energy than he does right now. What do you?
What did I do?
I mean, you're just when we came back on the air from the weather delay, you were so fired up. I think that's where it all. That was at the sugar high.
Yes.
And we were
come
still
off
at the
about
sugar
3
well.
brownies at that point and Coke. Yeah.
What give me something.
You got anything on App State? Well,
I
expect this to
watched
obviously
them play in that
South Alabama.
I kept thinking South Florida, Southern Alabama game, and I mean I think they're very, very vulnerable, right? I think especially defensively, they're very vulnerable, right? Both through the air and on the ground. So I think what you'll see Liberty try to do is they felt against ECU like it could be tough sledding with them defensively in their front seven. And I think they're going to look at this game and go, we're going to have the opportunity to sort of go back and really run the football. And if they have that kind of success running the football and now the confidence that they have in passing the ball, I really believe like they could catch a rhythm here offensively. Liberty could catch a rhythm offensively and score a lot of points. And that could potentially, hope we don't want to hold the folks in suspense, but potentially that could be part of the bowl prediction.
Before we should we do the bowl prediction first?
We have bowl prediction, we have Flames Fantasy, we have mailbag. What order do you want to go?
There's so much to do, and
we'll get through it quick.
We've been talking for I feel like we've been going longer with these podcast people. So say in Flames Central at liberty.edu mailbox if we're going too long, but there's just so much to talk about.
It's football season.
Yeah, so let's do bold prediction last. Let's go with a little Flames fantasy.
Okay, Flames fantasy. Well,
I never changed Copeland.
I know.
Who is the commish?
I know.
I never changed.
I can't hold your hand through this stuff, Em. I can't hold your hand. You got to make these decisions on your own.
Copeland's out for the season, but that's a point I wanted to make at the end of your App State comment was the Flames should be pretty healthy coming into this game, right?
As far as we know.
As far as we
get
know.
to the point.
Okay.
Come on.
So here's what happened in Flames fantasy this week. For the first time, Joe did not win the week. Joe did get 16.5 points from Quentin Cooley. That late touchdown really saved him as he scored 25 points this week for a total of 159.5.
This is tiny.
Okay? I obviously
3 touchdowns.
Reese Smith. What a pick. What a draft pick.
What a way to go deep into the war room.
29 points from Reese by himself. So I put up 42.8 points this week. So Joe's at 159.5 overall. I creep up to 136.1. So you're
23 points
up.
Now.
Emily, meanwhile, scored 31.2 points. Elijah Canyon with the touchdown. Tyson Mobley, 6 receptions. Quentin Reese had a good game. So she's at 97.9.
Oh, I'm about to break 100, baby.
Em's going to keep striking that stone. Keep striking
the stone.
And see if you can climb back into it.
I will say.
You got to drop Darius Copeland.
I had a convert. Yes, I need to drop Copeland. That was not fair. So I have a question. And I bet the people who that wasn't on our Flames fantasy had the most points that was not on anyone's team.
Yeah.
Can I add that person's total?
I can tell you who it is.
Can I add that person's total to my week?
This is what Joe did last year. No, you're not doing this.
No.
Next year, you're going to start doing like Joe.
You guys aren't confident. You guys aren't confident in your team.
You're going to do Joe's bit of, I should get Caden Salter's points too because I'm losing.
That's because he had 13 in week 8.
Yeah.
You need, this is the open free agent window after week 4, so you can replace
No,
Copeland.
I think I deserve to get a bonus 10
Get outta
points
here.
No,
because I
can't
didn't
wait.
get
you
to.
didn't pay attention.
Do you want me to draft for you?
No, because
Yeah.
I was doing all the weather
Stop,
stuff,
right,
and
right,
I was
stop.
too
Yeah.
busy to tell you about who to.
Do you want me to draft for
fix-
you to replace Copeland?
No,
want me to tell you who
no
to take?
because.
Who would it be? Dante Lee?
Dante Lee.
Right, it's easy.
It's
Well,
no
how many
brainer.
points did he get from this last week?
I don't know.
But I mean, he's an
Okay,
up and coming receiver.
I do want to say I did have a conversation with Juju. I'm not going to tell you guys the information.
Oh,
I found.
there you go.
That's an
But I
that's an
found-
explosive weapon when he gets
Yes.
back. that we haven't
And I
talked
have
about.
some inside info on when he's returning.
Don't say it.
And second, I did have a conversation during that weather delay with Elijah Canyon. And he was like, man, I all this rain, I just hope we don't run the ball the whole time. I really want to, get
And
some
then he makes a
touchdowns.
touchdown catch.
And then he made a touchdown catch.
Yeah.
So when I saw him on the sideline, I was like, keep giving me. But I told him, I'm like, you're on my fantasy team.
good.
I'm
that's
losing
everybody
by a
I know.
lot. I need you to step up, Canyon.
So he did.
So then he goes and he scores a touchdown.
He
So
did.
those conversations are really helping my team.
That's
Thank you.
good. That's good. Glad you made the most of it.
I
All
said
right,
the same to
Let me do
TJ
the
Bush.
mailbag, and then we'll get to our bold predictions. Mailbag. First one comes from Daniel. Says he's a huge fan of the podcast. Loved listening to Loopy Joe Yock at 2 a.m. That's his quote.
I got a little loopy.
That's his quote.
It happens. You get a little loopy.
Yeah.
down
I
there.
love when you say loopy.
All right, he
You're
says,
loopy.
my question, he says, is how many wins straight would it take for Liberty to get ranked in the AP poll? He said he went back, looked last year, took until week 11, we were 9-0. Just looking at the schedule and what it is, how many wins in a row do you feel like it would take? Probably somewhere around that
Yeah, I would say at
9-0
least.
mark
I think
again,
a
don't
huge,
you think?
I think a huge part of that is what happens with ECU and if you're able to beat App State going forward after that. Because if they can win in tougher conferences and show that they're one of the better teams in those conferences, that's going to carry a lot of weight into helping Liberty. If both those teams' season goes the wrong way, then
gonna hurt
then
Liberty.
then it's going to hurt.
Yeah.
It's going to hurt Liberty
If-
because those were the two games that obviously were circled on the calendar in order to give Liberty national exposure outside of
If
Conference
you
USA.
beat App State,
Yes.
I'm going to tell you right now, Liberty will be a double-digit favorite in their next 5 games
Yeah.
after that. But then
Yes.
your
then-
last 2 games are against what we feel are
The
probably the
two
two
best
best
teams
teams in
in the-
CUSA
yeah,
outside
yeah.
Liberty.
That's what I
Western
was gonna
Kentucky,
ask.
Sam Houston, and then you very well could flip and play one of them again
Yeah.
in that championship game.
What's
So,
Sam Houston's record right now?
They
Hold
lost
that
to.
Conference USA.
They lost to.
They lost the Conference USA.
Well,
No,
they're
they-
3-1. Their only loss was to UCF.
UCF.
So they
Oh.
beat New Mexico State
What was the
31-11, 45-14.
okay, so they got hammered by
They've
UCF.
beaten Rice. They've beaten Hawaii. They've
Yeah.
beaten New Mexico State. They have Texas State, who's
Yacht
pretty good as
Talk.
well this
Yeah.
year.
Yock
or this week.
Talk has been saying this from day
I know, yeah.
one. We can go back, can't we, Matt Warner?
Yeah. No, you
that
can say
that
it.
Sam Houston State is a dangerous football team.
Yeah,
And
that's Chris Fanini with that.
Western Kentucky
sleeper team,
is a
too.
dangerous football team. They lose their starting quarterback, TJ Finley. This Veltkamp kid comes in
Yeah.
and has
Tearing it
set the
up.
world on fire. Smokes Middle Tennessee, and then they beat Toledo this week, who had just beaten Mississippi State.
Oh, really?
So they came back and beat them
Were they
26-21.
3-1?
Oh,
So they are
wow.
also 3-1. They play Boston College this week,
Oh, they're gonna get hammered.
who's a pretty good program and
Oh
playing
yeah,
well.
Fort
so.
Wells. Did you see those unis? Those are so sick.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
with the bandana.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Okay, a couple more mailbags quickly.
Okay.
This is from our buddy Christian. He used to email us from
Bonner?
Idaho.
Oh.
Now he's living in West Africa. So we are Flames Little Podcast spanning the globe.
global.
Spanning the
Go
globe.
global.
Yeah. He wants to know,
go
as he
global.
said,
We're going global.
Let's go
he
global.
said he couldn't stay up for the game. It restarted at like 3 a.m. his local time, so was unable. So he watched it back later. But he wanted to know, are there any kind of those either marathon game or super late night game? It could be Liberty. It could be any sport that stand out to you that you recall, like a game that just went forever, that never ended, or was in the middle of the night, like
What was
anything
it?
like that.
Was it a Pac-12 game back a couple years ago? Or
He mentioned one that I remember,
I
which
remember
was a
one.
6 overtime
what I
game
was
between UConn and Syracuse basketball. It was like Big
Oh,
East
basketball.
tournament
Oh,
in
no,
09.
no.
I remember watching that one, and it just never ended.
was it the Colorado game that earlier this year or last year? Remember there was a Colorado game that like went into like 4 overtimes?
Yeah.
Am I
There
like-
was the old Miss somebody that went into 7 overtimes, and it was really late. really late.
Yeah.
But I mean, in terms of really late night ones,
This was
a
a long. I mean, my bedtime's usually 8:30.
Yeah, I know.
So I was.
See those. So that was his question. And then I guess actually we can just go to the Snell scoring system if you want, our bold predictions.
Scoring system.
All right. So just to remind everyone our picks.
We have presence in Idaho. You know.
We do. We're huge in Idaho. Yeah. Emily said 24-21. By the way, the
Yes,
score.
I have learned math since then.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. She figured that out. Liberty won 35-24. By the way. So she said 24-21. Joe said 35-28.
Oh!
I said 24-20.
Wait. Side note here: Joe has never won one of these.
Joe
chalk
went
one up. It's a long season, baby.
What Jeff called a week or two ago the single worst prediction in the history of Snell scoring system to nailing Liberty's final score on the nose. So great job, Joe.
What was my score prediction?
You said 35-28, and it was 35-24 was the final. So Joe wins this week.
Holy smokes! I
He
thought
gets
you
the
meant
point.
like on the dot.
Yeah, that's
I
what
was
I
like,
thought.
holy
Liberty's
smokes.
score, like the Liberty's individual score.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So Joe gets the point. Emily and I split the second place point. We were equally off. And so Emily's still barely hanging on.
What's the total?
She has 4.5 total points.
Yeah.
I have 4, Joe 3.5. So
Okay.
it is tight.
Okay.
It is
Okay.
tight
Snell
through 4
scoring
games.
system. I'm getting that trophy.
Yeah. All right.
Bold
Predictions.
predictions. You go first, Joe, since you did so great this week.
Okay, I'll go first. I got no problem. So we're doing bold predictions like
And
bold.
score. Just like
And
we do
score.
every week. Yeah. Yeah.
Just like
Yeah.
we do every week.
Yeah.
Hey, we're still a little.
Okay, all right.
loopy.
Here's my
Okay,
bold prediction.
okay.
Okay, here's my bold prediction. My bold prediction is that
Yeah.
Elijah Canyon
Okay.
will score 3 touchdowns. Cooley
Whoa, that wasn't bold enough?
will score 2 touchdowns, and the Flames will win 24-19.
For those that don't understand.
For those who don't
that
understand
was Emily's
that.
math from
That was Emily's math from last week.
Yeah, beautiful.
He'll score 5
Yeah,
touchdowns.
yeah.
and
I
the
have a
Flames
lot on my
will
plate
win.
right now,
Yeah.
Joe.
22-21.
I have a lot on my plate, and I just wasn't thinking.
She's
But
not a numbers
however,
person.
I
No.
believe my bold prediction last week that 3 separate Flames were going to score a touchdown. I'm pretty sure that was perfect. After I said
Not
4.
exactly the boldest prediction.
Okay, no, let me go back. Let me go back to my
I
bold
know, but
prediction.
that's what I said. I think I added something else to it. Gosh, you guys are always so mean to
here's
me.
my bold prediction. Here's my bold prediction. Reese Smith stays on fire.
Okay.
2 TDs from Reese Smith. 2 TDs from Cooley. 2 and 2.
And what's the score?
Is that really
Is
bold?
that bold?
I mean,
Is
that's
that-
not
is that
bold.
bold
I mean,
enough?
Reese Smith had 2 career touchdowns
Yeah.
before Saturday.
I mean, you're talking about scoring 5 touchdowns in 2
weeks.
games. That's
Yeah.
bold.
So bold.
Plus,
You're such a bold
plus,
guy, Joe.
plus
Yeah.
Cooley.
Yeah.
Right? That's fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
really
I think
bold.
the folks would say that's
Yeah.
bold.
What's the final score?
Final score will be I want to do it again, but I won't.
Don't go back to the- Yeah.
23-19.
Yeah, no.
Stop.
Sorry.
Gosh.
It's too easy.
Life is so hard.
So I'm going to go the final score. I think the Flames will rack up some points. It's going to be 45
45.
to, I think it's going to be 45-31.
Okay. All right. Em, you want to go or you want me to go?
You
I'll
can
go.
go.
I have Liberty 31, App State 27. Another 4th quarter comeback for
That's
Liberty.
a good prediction.
And Caden
I like
Salter
that.
runs for 75 yards or more.
I don't think 75 is bold enough. If you're going to go bold, he's got to go over 100.
I will go 100.
Yeah, like.
Bold 75.
Okay, I'm gonna go.
I mean, Malik Willis ran for 90 yards in an
27-20.
NFL game yesterday.
Well, hold on, 27-20.
27-20 Liberty, and I'm going.
6 touchdowns.
That was one
Somebody
time.
came up to me
No, they didn't.
during the rain delay, and they were like, "Oh, that
Emily's such an idiot.
yeah, that bold prediction when you got on Emily about the score
Yeah.
thing, that was awesome."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
People
so
love
cool.
that. Can I tell
I
you,
love when
before
you
you
guys are
make
so
your bold
mean to
prediction,
Emily.
the number
I'm
one
quitting after
feedback
this.
I get from fans that we just meet out and about, they all say, I just love how you give Emily a hard time. It's
Yeah,
hilarious.
like I'm
they
quitting.
love it. They love
Okay,
it.
here's
Give the
my-
people what they
here's my
want.
notice.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that a little trio on the defensive side of the ball.
Okay.
I'm gonna have a Brylan Green interception.
Okay.
If he doesn't play, Bodner.
Okay.
And which he will. A Quentin Reese interception and a
okay.
TJ Bush sack.
Okay.
All 3 of those things.
Wow.
A
Now
little
the
parlay, baby.
The trifectas.
The trifecta.
That's bold.
That's bold.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, well, you're not
Yeah,
gonna
that's
get
good. You
like
finally
a
did a bold
the
prediction. That's
zeal.
good. Cool. There you
So,
go.
and then I said 27-20 Liberty victory. Okay.
There you go.
Thanks so much for listening or watching. If you want to send in any motivation or affirmation to me, that is flamecentral@liberty.edu. I'm really on the edge over here with dealing with these two that are so mean to me. We will have a great show this week. We'll hear from what's going on in the Flame Central this week.
All right, so we'll have In the Fire, relive that whole experience, some great footage of the guys killing time during the rain delay and all of that.
Oh, men's basketball.
We'll also have.
We'll hear from men's basketball.
We'll hear from men's
this week.
basketball. Also, we'll have the First Players Lounge season 2 that kicks off this week. And
you've never watched
and we should have a great feature for you as well on Liberty Safety Eli August. So a really cool story about him coming here, how this place has changed his life, and so a cool sort of feature about him as well.
All right, so tune in. That will air Friday at 3 p.m. on YouTube. And we thank you again for listening or watching. For Joe and Matt, I'm Emily. We'll see you right back. Wait, time out. So we will be regular Monday.
Regular Monday podcast next week.
Next week, regular Monday, and then we'll kind of switch through with the midweek on the mountain. Thanks so much for watching.
See you.